Good evening and welcome to the full council tonight. Welcome also to the members of the public that have joined us this evening, either in person or watching live stream. Together with our security team and a member of the public, if there's any objections to being part of the live stream, please advise us immediately and we will ensure that you are not included in the filming. Thank you. With so many of us in the room, I politely ask that we keep background noise to a minimum, including turning your mobile devices silent. Members are asked to refrain from interrupting speakers and that the debate may be undertaken through me as chair. Should anyone wish to access the hearing loop, officers are available to assist. Before we start, please ensure you have inserted your cards into your microphone and have pressed the Enter Meeting prompt on the screen. I will be using the Queue to Speak function, therefore please press your microphone button if you wish to speak during the debate to place yourselves in the queue. When the green, this confirms you're in the queue. When it turns red, the mic is ready for you to speak. We are aware of some minor interference experienced with the microphone systems, and this is being investigated with the supplier. Please bear with us while we resolve the issue. So turning to the agenda, item 1. Minutes to the last meeting. I wish to draw your attention to a minor amendment required to the minutes at the last meeting. This refers to page 19 of your agenda packs and the paragraph listed under the second bullet point. This should be amended to read: the majority of West Suffolk Council's car parking income derived from Bury St Edmunds and the proposed increase of 20% was considered to discourage growth. The amendment sought to freeze the current charge for Ram Meadow car park in Bury St Edmunds at the rate set for 2024-2025. May I please have a proposer for the approval of the minutes as amended of the meeting held on the 25th of January 2025. Councillor Walsman. Who would like to second the approval of these minutes?
Thank you, Chairman. I'm happy to second the amended minutes, Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Kelly. Okay, we now come to the vote. Members, please do raise your hand clearly in the air so that we can see it to count it. Those in favour? Is there any against? No, that's carried. Okay. Item 2, my announcements. You will have noted the list of engagements and the events that the Vice Chair and I have undertaken since the last ordinary meeting on the 25th of February 2025. Can I point out on the unveiling of the plaque to mark the 3rd anniversary of the Ukraine invasion. This event was about the invasion, and it was very sad to hear from families about leaving their husbands at home and thinking that they would be only in the UK for 3 weeks. It was very, very sad to hear all their problems of going from their country to the UK. But they were saying how proud they are of all the families that gave them these accommodations, and a lot of them have left them accommodation now and obviously got their own accommodation. But they was so pleased with being, well, in this particular case, Bury St Edmunds, and just on the outskirts of Bury St Edmunds as well. Right, thank you. Item 3, announcements to include apologies for absence. I will invite the Monitoring Officer to make any announcements and inform of the apologies for absence received. Teresa?
Thank you, Chair. We've received apologies for absence from councillors Michael Anderson, John Augustine, Dawn Dicker, Roger Dicker, Paul Furman, Rachel Hood, Laura Jane Miller-Jones, Karen Richardson, Marion Rushbrook, Julia Wakelam and Luke Halpin. And we understand that Councillor Hoffensberger is hopeful to arrive but will be late.
Thank you. Item 4, declaration. Sorry, Councillor Canick.
Thank you, Chairman. We've got 2 additional apologies, Mr. Chairman. That's Councillor Tracy Whitehand and Councillor Paul Furman.
Said Paul Furman.
Okay, you've already got Paul Furman.
I've already got
Yeah,
Tracy.
thank you. Okay, a dispensation has been granted for all members to allow you to speak and to vote on matters concerning devolution and or local government reorganisation at all West Suffolk Council meetings, where you may otherwise have a disclosable pecuniary interest, other registrable interest or non-registrable interest through your membership and or receipt of allowances from West Suffolk Council and Suffolk County Council where relevant. I would also like to remind members of their responsibility to declare any interest no later than when the agenda item is reached. Are there any interests that wish to be declared now?
None.
No, there is none. Right, thank you. Item 5. This is public participation. A total time allocated of 30 minutes is reserved for public participation. We have 1 person registered to speak. Welcome, Mr. McGowan. Will you please make your way to the lectern?
Thank you. I am the Vice Chair of Morton Hall. And given the current differing views about what the future of local government should look like, how does the Council plan to work with Suffolk County Council to ensure that residents and other stakeholders can have their voices and opinions heard? We want to avoid residents being asked to feed into multiple, potentially conflicting sets of engagement running in parallel. Residents and organisations like our Residents Association want to be heard. We want to be involved, but we don't want duplication, and we don't want repeats of the recent County Council consultation on walking and cycling, where residents, businesses and community groups didn't even know it was happening, even though it would have had a massive impact on our daily lives. We want to see meaningful consultation, not just boxes ticked. I'm concerned that the current consultation on the Strategic Mayoral Authority, with its total of around 10,000 words in an online form and no local interaction or engagement, is simply not something that many residents will feel able to engage with. And so we're keen to ensure this isn't replicated with local government reform. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brown. Sorry. Councillor Waterman, would you like to respond?
Yes, please, Chair. Mr. McGowan, thank you very much for a very well-phrased question, I think, and a very pertinent question. I'd like to thank your Residents Association as well for the interest they're showing in this vital topic, which will change how council services are delivered. I too share your ambitions that any engagement is better than the cases you've highlighted. We're not yet, I'm afraid, at the detailed stage of planning that engagement. However, I want to reassure you that I am committed to engagement that is done in a meaningful and credible way. It must plainly explain the issues and avoid duplication of effort and therefore reduce confusion. Obviously, there are other councils involved, and I can't say what they may do, but we, of course, look to and encourage coordination wherever it's possible. Like you, I don't want to see a tick box box exercise, but a real chance for residents to have their say and for all politicians to listen properly to what's being said. We here and community groups such as the association you represent are made aware and given the opportunity to make your views known. I was lucky enough yesterday to meet some members of Horsted Parish Council, and they, like you, showed a great interest in local government reorganisation, and they invited me to come and speak to their parish council, and I think we will use that as a model going forward for how we do the consultation. So we will be using the communities, our portfolio holder for communities, to help organise meetings with community groups like yours, and also with parish councils, and obviously that will be a way of involving councillors in the process as well. And we'll try and get that going as soon as we can. Without going into too much detail about LGR, which I can talk about for many hours if you want me to, but I'll resist the temptation. We've got to get our initial proposals in by Friday, and then we've got till the 26th of September to work up our detailed proposals. So we'd like to get that consultation going very early in that process. So all I can say is we haven't yet worked out exactly how we'll do it. I very much congratulate you on showing your interest in this very important subject, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you and consulting with you and other community groups like yours very shortly. So thank you.
Thank you very much. That concludes this item. Thank you for attending. You are welcome to remain in the public gallery to observe the rest of the proceedings if you wish. Thank you. Item 6, the leader's statement. Members may ask the leader questions on this content of the leader's statement or on any council matter. 5 minutes is allowed for each question to be asked and answered. The leader may invite responses from the portfolio holder. There is a maximum time allocated of 30 minutes for this item. I invite Councillor Waterman to the lectern to introduce his statement, and Councillor Waterman.
It is working. Yeah, it is working. Okay, this was my idea, and now I'm here standing in front of you. I'm not sure it was such a good idea after all. But anyway, the idea is that rather than you hearing the back of my head, you see me speaking to you, and I can see your reaction, which will no doubt vary from amazed enthusiasm to, he can't be serious, can he? I'll try and keep it mostly towards the amazed enthusiasm end. I'm not going to go through all I wrote in the written statement, and I'm not going to say anything about local government reorganisation because we'll have time to debate that fully later on in the meeting. And I really do hope we have a very full and detailed debate on this, because it is a really important part of the future that we are facing. But anyway, I'll resist saying anything about it now. Highways. I see most of you got here tonight. I know Councillor Hovensberger will be coming down the A14 a bit later. I hope it's open, because over the last few weeks it's often been closed. And there are certainly lots of highways issues. And in the last meeting, I indicated my concerns with some of the projects in West Suffolk. And since then, as promised, I've spoken to the leader of Suffolk County Council about these issues. That's included highway works on the A134, which was also mentioned in that last council meeting. I investigated some of the claims made. This is where I have a difficulty because my glasses allow me to see you. They don't allow me to read that clearly, and it's too far away for me to read it without my glasses as well. So excuse me if I hold the paper up in front of my eyes. This will get slicker as it goes on. All those people watching on TV, all I can say is we're not Who Wants to Be a Millionaire yet. So, yes, so one of the things that was talked about was the highway works on the A134, which has caused quite a bit of distress locally. I investigated some of the claims made at the last council meeting and just wanted to answer them now. To clarify, as the Highways Authority, Suffolk County Council provides the technical advice to the planning application process, which it was rightly said we as a district council are in charge of, but they review the highways details and confirm the necessary conditions. The roundabout was secured through the planning permission by condition and forms part of the essential infrastructure to support the growth of the town. Again, for clarity, the road closure and associated diversion is the responsibility of Network Assurance on behalf of Suffolk County Council. I met with Councillor Hicks, the leader of Suffolk County Council, just over a week ago, along with our Chief Executive and their Chief Executive Nicola Beach, and I asked for a commitment from the County Council that we could work together and have a communication process in place where West Suffolk is routinely informed in advance by the County Council, by the County Council's Network Assurance team of roadworks likely to have significant impact on connectivity within West Suffolk. I mean, we all know the difficulties. As I think Councillor Rout said last time, we cannot just magic A roads out of nowhere. Absolutely true. But I think with better communication, we can achieve a better outcome for our residents. Moving on to the holiday activities and food programme. This is a free programme of activities to support children and families during the school Easter holidays, and it's now opened for bookings in West Suffolk. It's a national scheme, Holiday Activities and Food Programme, or HAF for short, and it's primarily aimed at children under 18 who receive benefits-related free school meals. The government-funded scheme was set up to help support them during the school holidays when they may not otherwise get a hot meal. I think something we'd all very much welcome and approve of. With the school Easter holidays looming, West Suffolk, which coordinates the HAF programme on behalf of the County Council, we've been able to extend the scheme and make it bigger and better, basically. It will make free places available to the children of other families who are also in financial hardship. So we've widened the eligibility, basically. These activities, based on feedback, have been highly successful and is testament to the good work our families and communities team do under our strategic priority of thriving communities. I'll now move on to markets. Our market work is going really well and beginning to see results. For example, by the end of January, West Suffolk has seen 15 new traders, 15 new traders. We've had over 90 applications for makers markets, as well as our existing 115 permanent traders and 145 casual traders. To take Mildenhall as an example, on average, the number of stalls in Mildenhall is doubled, and improvement works have been carried out in Newmarket. These new spring, autumn and festive markets are being organised by West Suffolk Council in partnership with Mildenhall Hightown Council. They will be bringing new opportunities to the community to shop, explore and support local traders. We also have exciting plans in the pipeline for Haverhill, but you'll have to wait for more details once they've been agreed locally. But as I say, markets are a real success story, and I hope all of you will do your bit to publicise them, and you all had cards in your pigeonholes with details of these makers markets and the market in Mildenhall. Moving now on to commercial recycling, and this is all part of the move to simpler recycling, and as you know, we're going to have to do increased recycling runs next year for our residential properties, but in fact we have to start doing extended recycling collections for our business community, and it's one of the successful things that West Suffolk Council does is offer a really good service on a commercial basis to our businesses. The service has been working hard to ensure our commercial customers are ready, especially as these new requirements start 1 year sooner than the changes for households, which begin, as I say, next year in April. The food waste team is now in place to support this By introducing these new services, the council will continue to provide trade waste and recycling collections locally and maintain a significant income stream, which helps fund important council services. It will also help our commercial customers to be compliant, reduce business costs, save energy, conserve natural resources and protect the environment. The last thing I want to briefly touch on is Provincial House in Haverhill. We've heard local concerns about the need for improved access to healthcare for residents in Haverhill and the surrounding area. So I'm delighted to tell you that Unity Healthcare, which operates on behalf of the NHS, has become our latest tenant at Provincial House on Haverhill High Street. It's a triage and operations hub, and it will fulfil the behind-the-scenes role that Unity says will allow it to deliver more services, including face-to-face appointments at other sites, benefiting thousands of patients in and around Haverhill. Future plans could include Unity linking up with our other public sector tenants, such as West Suffolk College's Personal and Professional Development Centre. This will explore how health and adult education work together to maximise the benefits to the local community. This, again, supports our strategic priority of thriving communities and sustainable growth by encouraging more people to work and therefore visit Haverhill Town Centre. At which point I will pause for breath and hand back to the chair. Thank you, Councillor Hanlon.
Okay, I have two questions, three now. Four? Oh, there's loads now. Right, Councillor Brown first. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. As you know, Haverhill's population is fast approaching 30,000. We have less transport links than we did in 1967 when we had a population of 8,000 when our railway link was closed. Can the leader shine any light on the likelihood of the guided busway from Cambridge being extended to Haverhill, please? Thank you.
That's a very good question, Councillor Brown. I think I'm right in saying that 20% of the population of Haverhill travels into Cambridge on a daily basis for work. And the road, I think it would be fair to say, is perhaps not totally the best one in Suffolk. It would be great to see this extended. And I did raise this issue both with the leaders of Cambridge City Council and the existing Mayor of Cambridgeshire and Peterborough over the last year or so. At that time, if I'm honest, I got a fairly dusty response. However, come this May, there is a new election for a new mayor for Cambridgeshire and Peterborough, and one of the first things I'll be doing is talking to them about the importance that Haverhill has as part of the Cambridge economic sub-region and how it would benefit both Haverhill and West Suffolk more widely, but also Cambridgeshire itself, if that could be achieved. And so I will certainly be pushing very hard for that to happen.
Thank you. Councillor Neal, and then Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Chair. First thing, just an observation. I don't like the layout of this. It's a bit like being in a school assembly, and I'm missing looking at the faces that used to, particularly you, and a bit of banter, a bit of facial expression, and all I'm seeing is the back of people's heads. So you might want to consider that, but then if you're happy with it, there we go. But that's not my question. I'm concerned about what's been introduced for shops putting tables out the front of their shops. We're charging £500. We want to increase and support our high streets, and this works totally against it. The fact that our high streets are struggling to then inflict a £500 licence for someone to put a couple of tables out the front of their their shop, I think is absolutely ridiculous. And we've started taking that money, so I think if that could be looked at again, because the benefits of having tables out gives that continental feel to a high street that's absolutely missing at the moment. So if that could be looked at again, because it will encourage growth if people can sit out, and people who have paid, obviously they would need to be reimbursed. Thank you.
I didn't get any applause. Never mind. Andy, I mean, what you say about the layout, this is an experiment to try and remedy some of the issues with the way it was laid out before. Emails have been sent out to all councillors asking for their feedback, and I'm sure you've fed back. And we will be looking at all that because this is not set in stone at all. Personally, I think it's a bit better than what we had before, but it's not quite right yet. So, but I mean, everyone has their own opinion, and I'm very sure that everyone will be wanting to give their opinion. On the pavement licences, I mean, I agree with you. It's lovely when you come into one of our towns and it's a nice sunny day and you can sit out in the street and have a coffee. It's a bit like being in Lyon or Marseille or somewhere, and it's wonderful. But yes, it is challenging times for some of our small businesses. I'm not going to try and answer this question. I'm going to ask Councillor Kelly, whose portfolio covers this, if he would be so kind as to answer it.
Councillor Kelly?
Yeah, it is something that was agreed to by council following all sorts of consultation. And I think one of the things that needs to be understood is that it does only refer to pavements. So where tables and chairs go out on the business's own property, the issue simply doesn't arise. In terms of the cost, as we said, the process that we use is based on that put in previously, which is that user pays, and the bottom line is that we are charging no more than what it's going to cost us to administer. There's also an issue which has come up several times before, which is that, talking about someone like Costas who might have 50 tables and chairs out there, it's unfair to charge them the same as a small business with only one table and chair. Bottom line of that is, of course, there is only one licence, and the time, effort and all the rest involved in administering that is exactly the same, regardless of the number of tables and chairs. It is a licence for that particular premise. As for looking at it, of course, we are looking at all the things that have come in recently, and we will continue so to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Clark?
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I couldn't agree more with Andy Neal about the street licences. It's a complete nonsense. It's anti-business, anti-town centre, and this is all in the gift of West Suffolk Council. We appear to have decided to penalise these people who want to put a couple of chairs outside. My advice would be, you're in a hole, just get out of it, just scrap it. But what I really wanted to say was that today there's been a very important announcement by the Labour government, and it's around disability benefits, and this government intends to press down hard on disability benefits and looking at the qualifications about when people can receive it and when they can't. I'm frankly astonished that Labour have decided to attack the most vulnerable in our society in order to balance the books, whilst at the same time hiking salaries to those who belong to a union. So what provision is this Labour-led council proposing to take to help those who will be devastated by the change in the PIP qualifications, and what do we think will be the impact on this council?
As you know, this is a West Suffolk Working Partnership administration, and I don't think I particularly want to comment on government policy. However, as you've asked in relation to how it will affect our residents and what this council will do to ameliorate any negative impacts, and I have to say, actually, I think if you read carefully what the government have announced, they've actually announced quite a large increase in universal credit payments. So it will actually benefit the hardest hit people. But as I say, I'm not going to get involved in a political debate. I'm sure our families and communities team will take any necessary action as and when any negative impacts are felt. But obviously they have not yet had time to absorb the details of the announcement. So that'll have to be a question that is answered once that has been done.
Thank you. Councillor David Smith.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, interested to hear what you're saying about the provincial house and the Unity Healthcare moving in, which I only found out about today. I just wanted to give us any more details of what's actually being offered in provincial house.
Thanks, Councillor Smith. Yeah, it's a very good question. It's definitely one of our success stories. I think the person to answer it, though, is our Cabinet Portfolio Holder for Communities. So if I may, Chair, I'll ask Councillor Higgins to answer that.
Councillor Higgins.
Hello, yes, I'm delighted. I had the pleasure of actually going to visit there last week with Diane here at my side, who's our resources portfolio holder. Firstly, this is bringing a revenue in for this council because the Unity Partnership have become our tenants, which is good news for every single member of West Suffolk, not just the people of Haverhill. But for the people of Haverhill, this is going to be a game changer for their access to primary health care. And I hope it will be welcomed by everybody in this council. The Unity Hub works. It's actually run by what used to be called the Federation of GPs. We were lucky enough to meet David Parnell, who is their PCN, and is actually running the show there. He spoke very, very warmly about the way West Suffolk Council and the Unity GP partnership have worked together, and they actually have had this wonderful partnership to try and bring this about. It is basically, it's a remote access to healthcare. However, that doesn't mean you don't have access to your GP face-to-face. And all the surgeries that are taking part in this will continue to have face-to-face meetings with their patients. However, if you need something whereby you are not able to get an immediate appointment, you can be answered within 21 seconds by this hub. You will be triaged. You will be passed on to a health professional. That might be a resident GP within the hub. It might be somebody who's actually got a specialism who can give you a more accurate answer to your questions. They all work very much like we work at West Suffolk House with an open plan atmosphere, which means that if somebody gets a call, they can immediately go to another colleague and say, I've just had a call from a patient. I'm wondering whether you could give me some advice. It sounds more like your specialism. And then that specialist can call that patient back and say, you've been referred on to me from the previous caller. They can even organise you to get an appointment to a hospital, if that is what they judge that you need. So this is a way of increasing the amount of access, and we do know, we are very well aware that in Haverhill in particular, for years now, there has been a problem with accessing primary health. The surgeries just did not have the capacity to expand. It's a very nice working environment. It's a very collegiate working environment, and it is beginning to attract health professionals from outside of the area who are interested in working in that kind of way. So this really is a good news story.
Thank you. Councillor Armitage.
It is now. Thank you, Chair. I'd like to ask the leader what progress is being made on large infrastructure projects that are being called for, particularly Hawley Junction and Ely Junction, which I'm sure we all know are critical to the prosperity of the east of England, both in freight and passenger terms. It's been pushed for more than a decade. I know it's been pushed by Liz Truss, but I'm sure we don't hold that against the projects. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Armitage. Sorry, you took me a bit off my stride there by mentioning that particular politician. Yes, as most people know, there's been concerted campaigning across the east, and especially in Suffolk, to promote certain projects that would increase the transport infrastructure to a point where it actually benefits the economy. So last October, all the MPs in Suffolk met with all the leaders of all the councils and all the chief executives and with business leaders. So we had people from Sizewell, we had people from BT and all sorts of other businesses. And it was convened by the Chambers of Commerce. And the call from that was that Suffolk really needed to have its infrastructure improved. And one of the key asks was that we could get improvements at Hawley Junction and then at Ely Junction, because at the moment there is an enormous bottleneck in terms of freight moving from Felixstowe to the markets in the Midlands where they end up. So these calls have been had for many years. I can't give you a definitive answer, but the rumours I'm hearing persistently are that the government, when it announces its spending review, will indeed give the go-ahead to Hawley Junction. However, at the moment, it's only a rumour, but let's hope it comes to fruition. Thanks for the question.
Thank you. Councillor Liz Smith.
I would just like to ask about the markets in Haverhill. You mentioned it earlier. I've noticed a slight increase in the stalls lately. Just wondering what the latest update is on the market in Haverhill, what the plans are. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Smith. I think this is probably one I'll hand over to the portfolio holder for growth. So I'll ask, if I may, Chair, I'll ask Councillor Wijanayake to answer this one.
Councillor Wijanayake.
There we go. Okay, no, thank you, that's working. Thank you, Councillor Waterman, for passing that to me, and thank you, Councillor Liz Smith, for answering that. In terms of the markets, and I'm really grateful that you've highlighted the fact that we're seeing improvements. I'll also go back to Councillor Waterman and say thank you for actually highlighting that as well in your speech. In Haverhill, we've got a new market coordinator. They started in January, and this is probably one of the reasons why we're seeing that positive benefit. And responsible for the Haverhill markets, which again, I'll just highlight to everybody, they go on every Friday and every Saturday. So if you are in the area, please do go and visit the local market in Haverhill on Friday and Saturday. With the dedicated market officer, that team is now then able to action the issues that were highlighted in our market review that we carried out all throughout last year that actually saw an increase in spend, £100,000 per year for the next 3 years in all our markets across the district. And so we are tackling the issues. We are going through and making sure that our markets are giving something back to our communities, especially in Haverhill. We've seen increases in Mildenhall, and it's really, really positive, as you said. So going back to Haverhill, we've got events around the year, this year, which will include the Makers Market. So the Makers Markets are coming back in this month, and they're going out to December. So that will also increase the sort of vibrance and sort of buzz that we've got in Haverhill as well. There will also be a local young traders heat in Haverhill, which is going to be really, really positive, and it's going to be really beneficial for those people who are wanting to, get into being a market stall holder or have a different sort of an extra bit of money on the side, and especially those people who are aged between 18 and 30 to be able to do that. And Haverhill Market will also be supporting Haverhill Town Council on the Armed Forces Day and Suffolk Day and a Green Market event. So these are the things that we're doing to making sure that we're delivering for our communities, especially at Haverhill. So we've got lots of plans. I don't want to go into absolutely every single detail. We've got lots of plans for Haverhill. We've got lots of plans for the market. I will also say that the Haverhill steering group The High Street Steering Group has been formed. It started in back end of last year in October, and we are continuing to have discussions and develop what we need for Haverhill with the town councillors, with other district councillors in West Suffolk, and we're also liaising with Suffolk County councillors as well. So we're operating across the board to deliver for our communities, and we're really confident that all our actions will have a positive benefit for our communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I've got two.
Yeah,
Right, we have a problem with the monitor.
Lewis is dealing with it.
Lewis?
Still not on. Not going to touch it. Yeah.
thank you, Lewis. That's good.
Thank you, Lewis. Okay. Okay, order. Thank you. I've got two questions left now. We're really close to the 30 minutes. So can I just have these two questions and that's it? Thank you. Councillor Major first. Yeah, you will now. You will now. Red.
Thank you very much indeed. Would the leader please join me in congratulating my hugely successful Residents Association that has not only today posted a very pertinent question, but has also come to the council several months in succession to hold us to account. This Residents Association has recently staged a gathering where they got more than 60 residents to turn up last Sunday. And I think it is worth of showing appreciation that they really have got such a strong voice. I know that it is not only Morton Hall that they are gathering, it is also the Leaders' Own Association. So I thought it would be pertinent to put that through. Will you also allow me to comment on the fact that what the Residents' Association is bringing to our attention is really very adept to what we're discussing a bit later on in the Unitary Council. The fact that our residents does not feel they know which council to go to and is being asked to go to many different councils with a simple question really does speak very well, does it not, for the Unitary Council as one body. It is rather tragic, I feel, reading through the papers that has been proposed by the other side today, talking about 3 different tiers. I just think that, you know, what my residents has brought to the council today of saying we don't know where to go really speaks to the fact that we really do need a one-step unitary council. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Waterman.
Yeah, thanks very much, Chair. Yes, I mean, Morton Hall Community Association is definitely a model that would be lovely to see replicated across the town, across the district. And I know yourself and Councillor Armitage and Councillor Lindberg work really closely with that association. Sadly, that hasn't always been the case with councillors from other councils. But yes, I mean, you know, that you are, I'll say it to you directly, you are an exemplar. So well done, congratulations. And yes, and I mean, I'm glad you're now covering Eastgate as well, because it is my ward, and the Community Association in Eastgate has struggled to keep going. So it's really good that you've sort of taken them under your wing. Yes, 3 different tiers. That's an interesting idea. I don't think anyone's proposing that. I can ask Councillor Hoffensberger. No, she's shaking her head. I mean, what we're proposing, what the government is proposing, is a single tier of local government, so that the current two-tier, where you've got a county and the district, will disappear, and instead you'll have unitary councils that cover everything. And you're absolutely right. The current system is chaotic. It does create confusion. It creates duplication, and it is ripe for reform. What we are talking about later on, and I won't preempt too much of it now, is whether what the shape of that unitary or those unitaries, how best would it serve the residents of Suffolk, and how best would it be part of the new mayoral combined authority. But I can assure you, Councillor Major, there is nobody wanting to create from the two-tier council structure a three-tier council structure, so you can rest easy on that one.
Thank you. Councillor Marks, last but not least, Councillor Marks.
Thank you. Whilst I accept that Councillor Higgins is the portfolio holder, it's remarkably unsettling that you claim that you like local democracy, and yet we were unaware of the new unitary arrangement in Haverhill, especially as many of us advise and support residents who are sick and ill and need that support. It's remarkably disappointing that we weren't informed of that and invited to go along and actually see what's happening. And I would like to be reassured that in future, if something is happening in our patch, that all councillors have that opportunity, because we are the people. Councillor Higgins actually lives in Bury St Edmunds. She does not live in Haverhill. And I have great respect for Councillor Higgins. We get on very well, fortunately. And if she hadn't informed me of this yesterday, I would have been unaware. And I gather that, again, Councillor Mason, who works very closely with me, was unaware as well. And it's a really important issue. As you rightly say, health in Haverhill is a critical issue. And I would be grateful if we could avoid this happening in future.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Marks. I do hear what you say and I understand your frustration. I haven't got an answer for you, but I will make sure that in future all councillors who have an interest in a particular area, as far as possible anyway, are informed of developments, which would obviously be desirable. Can I just say I'm glad the A14 is obviously running, because I see Councillor Hoffensberger and Councillor Rout have managed to get here. So I'm glad to see you. Can I go and sit down now, please, Chair?
Yes, please, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the end of that item. Right, item 7 now, please. Referrals report of the recommendations to Cabinet. There are no referrals emanating from the last meeting of Cabinet held on the 11th of March 2025. I shall therefore move directly on to the next item, which is item 8. And this is Freckenham Neighbourhood Plan, referendum and decision to adopt as West Suffolk Development Plan document. I call upon Councillor Thorndyke to introduce this item and move the motion. Councillor Thorndyke.
Thank you, Chair. Gives me great pleasure to introduce.
Okay. Can I stop you just for a sec? Sorry. There's a Councillor Rout.
Excuse my lateness, but coming from another meeting, and I know I have to declare it no sooner than the item is reached, and it should be reached. Part of my garden is declared green space or some such thing by this Freckenham neighbourhood plan, so I should probably declare that as some sort of pecuniary interest. I'm not sure. Gardening interest or disinterest in my case.
Teresa will tell you. Teresa.
Yeah, what should I do?
If you're declaring it as a disclosable pecuniary interest, then you must leave the room for this item.
I've only just arrived.
And we'll make sure that we let you know when to return.
Okay, I will do.
Wait until.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Can we have order? Yeah. Thank you. Right, Councillor Thorndyke.
Thank you, Chair. It gives me great pleasure to introduce the Freckenham Neighbourhood Plan. The plan has been worked on by a working group led by Freckenham Parish Council. A neighbourhood plan should be read alongside the documents which make up the District Council's development plan and are used to decide whether to approve planning applications in the parish area. They are written by the local community, the people who know and love the area. For a neighbourhood plan to become part of development plan, it must follow a statutory process involving designation of the plan area, public consultation at each formal stage, including pre-submission, submission, examination, and finally by referendum. The process, which started in 2018, is now complete, and the last step will be taken when West Suffolk Council is asked to adopt it as part of the development plan, used to determine planning applications in the area. The independent examiner summarises the plan well, stating that the plan includes a variety of policies and seeks to bring forward positive and sustainable development in the neighbourhood area. It includes policies on local green spaces, design, and the natural environment. I feel Freckenham Parish Council and working group should be congratulated on the successful production of this neighbourhood plan and outcome of the referendum. I therefore move the recommendations. Do you want them in full or do you want to take them from the paper?
Yeah, yes, carry on. Yeah.
Was that yes in full or yes, can't read it from the paper?
It's from the paper, really. I don't want it too long, obviously, so I'll go for the second option.
Second, Chair.
So you don't want me to read them out?
No.
No. Let's have it clear.
Yeah, right, okay. I'll go for a seconder. Right. Can I have a second of it, please?
I'd like to.
Councillor Taylor?
I would like to second and also comment.
Okay.
I am pleased to have represented Freckenham as a district councillor now for nearly 2 years. And with regard to their neighbourhood plan, I know it has taken a lot of effort and there have been many differing views. However, I would like to share with you a quote from Gary Tucker, the chair of Freckenham Parish Council, that I received today. And I quote, "Now our plan has finally been passed. After all the hard work and time by our team, it is nice to know that the parishioners will have a decision on development in the parish. This seemed quite pertinent for today when we are discussing how we can best support our local parishioners." Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, does anyone wish to speak on this? No? Okay. As no one's indicated I wish to speak, I shall go back to Councillor Thorndyke to close the debate. Thank you. Councillor Thorndyke.
Thank you, Chair. Nothing further to say. As we've got no more input, great. Carry on with it.
Thank you. I will now take the vote as ordered by you. All those in favour, please show. Any against? No. Any abstentions at all? No. That's carried. Thank you. Item 9.
We just have to get Councillor Rout back.
Oh, yes, Councillor Rout. Consecurity?
Someone's just gone to go.
Yeah.
There we go. We can continue now.
Okay. Right, item 9, local government reorganisation, interim proposal to government. I call upon Councillor Waterman, Leader of the Council, to introduce this item and move the motion. Councillor Waterman. Press the button. That's it. There you go.
Okay, sorry, got confused by buttons to press. We're here tonight because councils have been invited as part of the English Devolution White Paper to submit an interim report to government on our initial views around local government reorganisation. This is only very much the first stage of the process, and we've been asked to provide the government with a progress report on the shape of our thinking, basically, and direction of travel. I've always made it clear that I wanted to hear from all members in this process, and I look forward to hearing your views in this meeting tonight. This is, in fact, an executive decision, and Cabinet will be meeting afterwards to take those views that we hear tonight into account to form the basis of the interim report. The paper we prepared gives a clear indication of how the Cabinet would like to respond to government and recommends a multi-unitary solution of 2 or ideally 3 authorities rather than just a single one to cover the whole of the county. I see this as a positive opportunity for us to shape and be part of the reorganisation of local government. We have a blank page. We have a once-in-a-generation chance to be imaginative, to follow evidence, as well as to use our own and the experience of others to deliver local government to meet local need and exceed expectations moving forward. In preparing the interim proposals before you, I and leaders from across Suffolk Borough and District Councils have been minded that any new model must be financially sustainable. But the pursuit of pure savings will not bring better services or deliver the outcomes residents need. What we do need going forward, and we are looking at a reorganisation that may well take us through to the next 50 years of local government. So what we need is organisations that can manage growth more effectively, that recognise and respond to the importance of neighbourhoods and place, and which is democratically as close as it can be to the people it serves. An authority that delivers services that meets local needs, designed with residents, is flexible and quick to react. Vitally, it's close enough to connect with its communities and understand its needs. We have a fundamental opportunity to rewire local government, not simply reorganisation, but seizing the opportunities of public sector reform, something that goes far deeper than just moving a few boundaries. We can truly make a difference in preventative initiatives, link services such as social care with housing, leisure with public health, and to provide holistic solutions that are tailored to not only protect the vulnerable, but make sure our communities and economy thrive. In short, local government reorganisation is not just about achieving savings if that money is spent in the old inefficient way, but it's about driving better outcomes, better value for money, and better long-term financial stability. However, it's worth remembering, over the last 10 years, the Suffolk District and Borough Councils have cumulatively saved and driven income of £330 million while delivering high-quality services. An investigation into all the current 130 plus unitary authorities shows no correlation between good financial management or outcomes to how big they are. In summary, good decision and financial management was the element that had most effect rather than arbitrary scale. Just to put that in simple terms, there's no evidence that larger unitary authorities provide better outcomes. In fact, most of the evidence is that smaller ones provide better outcomes. Based on this thinking, creating more than one unitary council in Suffolk is the best way to deliver for our residents, ensuring our local people have their say and a strong democratic role for councillors in their wards. Suffolk, and indeed West Suffolk, is an area of varied communities and businesses, as well as challenges and opportunities. We've got rural, we've got coastal, we've got industrial, we've got agricultural, and we've got urban. From the home of horse racing, all the way across to the free ports, to the nuclear power stations and the green energy centres, the RAF and the other military communities, leading advanced manufacturing and engineering, bio and agri-tech industries, seaside tourism, historic market towns, villages, growth and prosperity of Ipswich, as well as being partly in the Cambridge sub-region. Having 2 or ideally 3 authorities is the only way to effectively keep focus on this enormous range of diverse and differing needs and grasp the opportunities they present. Multiple unitaries have the capacity and local knowledge to lead on this while not having to divide its attention to multiple parts of the county. It's having local government at the right scale to be flexible and integrate services to meet local needs. Indeed, we've seen examples of this working, such as in Cumbria, where multiple unitaries have been created, one sized 226,000 and the other 273,300. Services and outcomes there have improved by getting this balance right. The evidence is that multiple authorities that are sized appropriately for their areas meet the needs better and drive improvement and innovation. It also supports a more balanced solution for the governance of the mayoral combined authority, which is being set up next year for Norfolk and Suffolk. Although unitarisation and devolution to a new mayoral combined authority are two separate issues, the government has chosen to bundle them up together and do comprehensive local government reorganisation in one go. When we have our mayoral combined authority for the two counties, what we need is the mayor to have multiple voices at his or her table. And the way it's normally organised is that the leaders of each unitary authority are cabinet members for the mayor. Imagine a situation where there were only two single county unitary voices at that table. Where would be the diversity? Where would be the challenge? It just wouldn't exist. That's why we need multiple unitary councils, so that the mayoralty has multiple experiences, multiple voices to draw on. It also supports, I want to quickly address the government criteria and the population size, because this has been something of a red herring, I think, in the initial letter from the government. Government guidance explicitly allows council to make a case for unitaries having a population of less than 500,000 people. And we've all, well, certainly I've heard ministers say repeatedly that the idea of a population of 500 is an average to be reached across the whole system. It's certainly not a baseline. The average population of existing unitary councils is around 265. A 3-unitary model would be around that average, and 2 would be nearly 400,000. And importantly, on the 3-unitary model, going forward, based on our population growth, it would reach well over 300,000 for each of those unitaries within a very short period of time. The Minister has made it clear this guidance is not set in stone, this guidance of 500,000, and we have an opportunity to make a strong case. So in closing, multiple unitary authorities dedicated to their locality, working together where necessary, will deliver cost-effective and integrated high-quality services for Suffolk residents, long-term financial sustainability, economic growth and support to local industry based on local sectors, stronger democratic representation, community engagement and neighbourhood empowerment, governance and support systems which can adapt to future aspirations and sustainable growth, ambitions to drive progress, innovation and long-term success, and structures to support and enable thriving communities and economies. In brief, multiple unitaries will be closer to their residents, closer to their communities, and will keep the local in local government. I'm very much looking forward to hearing the varied opinions that will be expressed this evening. I'm sure everyone will be expressing their opinion in good faith. I'm sure everyone will be keen to listen to the competing views and competing arguments. However, we do have a deadline. The government set us the deadline of this Friday. Some councils have already reached the decision. Suffolk County Council have reached a decision to propose a single county unitary. Norfolk County Council, which is also Conservative-led, has reached a decision to promote either a single or a multiple unitary approach. Ipswich Borough Council has decided to support the same proposal we're supporting, and that, I should say, unlike the Suffolk County Council vote, was unanimous and was passed by Labour, Lib Dem and Conservative members unanimously. So I think what we can say about this, it's not a simple party political issue. It's an issue that affects all of us. It's an issue that affects the future of our local democracy. And it's an issue that we need to get right. So we need to do all we do with calm heads looking at the data, listening to the arguments, and making a calm and rational decision. So with that thought in mind, I hand over back to the Chair, and I'm looking forward to hearing all that you have to say. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Dead on time. Okay, can I have a seconder for this motion, please? Councillor Cannick?
Happy to second, Chair, and I will reserve my right to speak.
Thank you. Right, I've got 6 speakers, 8 now. Right, first one is Councillor Marks, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to begin by saying that I'm extremely proud to be a district councillor, and that allows me to support local residents, and I do that on a daily basis. So before agreeing to any form of change, I would need to see substantive evidence that this would represent a positive benefit to the residents. And I have to say, this is truly the worst interim report that I have ever had the misfortune to read. It's very wordy, it's contradictory, and it lacks any true evidence. The major services, the strategic services, are currently run on a county-wide basis. So it was not beyond the wit of man, and certainly we have paid £20,000 for this report from a reputable company who I know, so I'm very disappointed in reading this. We know the figures that are used for health and social care, and we know that currently they are used to support the whole county. We're now suggesting through this report that we run those services in 2 halves. Why could we not have produced those figures to say we currently have a service that runs at, say, 70 million a year, and we're going to divide it up, and this is the current headline costs, and this is the cost and the number of people who serve our residents on the ground, and how would this impact be carried forward if we had 2 unitaries? I would have liked to have seen that substantive evidence, and I'm incredibly disappointed that this has been put before us. I am effectively being asked to fly an aeroplane with a blindfold on, and so I cannot vote for this tonight simply because I do not have the substantive evidence, and I feel very saddened. The only positive comment I would make is if we do go for a single unitary, I would like to see the number of councillors retained, or at least increased from the current proposal on the single unitary, so that we can truly continue to represent our residents at grassroots. Thank you.
Councillor Wijanayake?
Thank you, Chair. I too am really proud of being a district councillor. I was elected in 2023. I'm a new councillor. This is the first time I've been a councillor, and I'm really, really proud of doing that. I'm really proud of representing my residents, and everything my residents have told me, the ones who have either reached out to me or the ones I've spoken to directly, have said to me directly that they feel that this area needs multiple unitary, that they feel let down, or they would feel let down by a single unitary. They do feel let down, and this is what my residents are telling me. They do feel let down by the way that county council has been run. And, you know, we've got problems like potholes, we've got health issues. This is what my residents are telling me. So I feel going for at least 2 unitaries, ideally 3, would actually give some control back into our local residents. And as a councillor, our ultimate aim, our only objective, is to represent our local communities, the people who have voted for us and the people who haven't voted for us. We have to make sure that services are delivered in for them, to them, to make sure that they can thrive. And I believe, genuinely believe, we can only do that if we have at least 2 unitaries or 3. And we've heard previously, we've got the Freckenham local plan. If we had 1 big unitary, I genuinely, again, do not believe we would have had the good outcome that we've got today by voting that local plan. I don't believe that the 1 unitary would have been able to help those local communities develop the local plan. And I know other local communities are developing a local plan. We've heard previously about the markets and how we've improved the situation in the markets in this district. And again, I genuinely believe we could only have done that by being a localised district council. So we need 2 unitaries at minimum, and ideally 3. And again, when we talk about growth, again, I do not believe genuinely that we could deliver it. If we only had 1 unitary covering the whole area, I genuinely believe we would not be able to deliver the services to our residents, our businesses, and we would not be able to deliver the growth that we need. So again, I will hope that all other members will see it the same way as me and vote in favour of this motion. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Hind.
Thank you, Chair. Over the last few weeks, a great many residents have spoken to me about LGR, and overwhelmingly they support at least 2 for Suffolk, and they very definitely don't want a single unitary, as they fear that being centralised, our West Suffolk towns would lose out. The word that was expressed to me time and again was local. We have seen how West Suffolk gets the crumbs currently from county, and a single unitary authority is unlikely to change that. More likely the divide will grow, especially if the number of councillors won't increase to cover the workload. It isn't about ratio to constituents. More powers means greater scrutiny and more committees to be staffed, thus more councillors needed to cover the role properly. LGR reforms potentially allow a slightly more efficient way to reform local government to deliver better outcomes. My view, and importantly the view I hear from residents, is that it's not possible to have better outcomes if just one council is trying to deliver services across a large, diverse geography. In particular, SEND education has been poorly served by Suffolk County Council, and this is just one item that demonstrates the need to have local control that takes account of the needs of a local geographic demographic. At least 2 or 3 separate unitaries will respect the character of Suffolk, which is reflected in its diverse geography and local community identities. It will ensure focus on the future growth of and opportunities in Suffolk and more widely across East Anglia. I'm fearful also that a single unitary led by the 2 largest towns in Suffolk, Lowestoft and Ipswich, and which might concentrate coastal needs above others, would be especially damaging to our rural areas, which are already disadvantaged. This evening, we're asking full council to improve the Cabinet proposal to indicate to government that our preferred option is for 3 unitaries authorities. So that local is exactly those local decisions by local people for local people. I will be supporting the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Neal.
Thank you, Chair. I'm looking forward to this, I tell you. I love these full council meetings because I find them so entertaining. You've got all the politics that comes into it. You've got the to-ing and throwing. Sometimes it's very humorous. Sometimes it's actually embarrassing. And we've all experienced that. But I love them because I'm an independent and I sit here and I watch you 2 sides of the room bitching amongst yourselves. And the one who's got the big deal breaker, we either make the deal or break it as independents. Sorry. Because there's no politics with us. All we're interested in...
Councillor Neal, can you sort of debate the actual...
I am.
The actual subject?
Yeah, I'm getting to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because...
Be patient with me. Be patient.
There's there's 8 people that want to ask...
And I probably would have finished
well.
speaking if I wasn't interrupted.
I'm interrupting you
You've got
for
the
a reason.
privilege.
Thank you.
I understand.
Thank you.
I understand the rules. But anyway, as I was saying, so as an independent, we're the deal breaker. And we're elected not by a political party, we're elected by our residents. And it's our residents that we're looking to support. And the most local that we can get is to support our residents, and that's the objective. So whatever you feel, independents or not independents, anyone in the room feels is right for their residents, they should take the politics out of it and support the residents. Thank you.
Councillor Brown.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. A single unitary for Suffolk would be and will be a disaster. It'd be a political organisation. The bigger the council, the more politics comes into it. We already have a democratic deficit in this country. In Europe, there's around one councillor for every 650 residents. In the UK, England particularly, it's around one councillor for 2,500 residents as it is. A single unitary, I was looking at the figures, you'd be looking around one councillor for 5,000 to 6,000 residents. It'd be an absolute travesty. You're going to have potentially councillors from Lowestoft voting on planning issues in Haverhill, not potentially ever having come to Haverhill, and likewise Haverhill councillors voting on Lowestoft planning issues. And the thing is as well, the people of Lowestoft will not even be voting for those people. Small is beautiful. I can remember when I was a youngster, we still had Haverhill Urban District Council, Clare Rural District Council. Every town in Suffolk had its own urban district council or rural district council. And the thing is as well, is all those decisions that we make as this council were made in Haverhill, Lowestoft, Clare, and every town across this great county of ours, by local people. If you had an issue, you could go to your local councillor, say that there's a plan issue. I know my parents used to go along to Bill Elkins. We used to have he lived on our estate. He went down to our council offices, and if there's a planning meeting, along with all other local people in there, they would decide on a Haverhill planning issue. And I was looking at the figures as well, is that when we had all those local urban district councils, residents were paying half, and this is adjusted for inflation, half the amount of council tax that they're paying nowadays. So I just don't understand, how things have gone so wrong. And we had this huge debate. This is just for one instance. We had this huge debate before Christmas around simpler recycling. Most of the district councils and borough councils across Suffolk decided to go to a 3-weekly grey bin collection. We had a fantastic debate here, and virtually everyone in this room decided that we would like to have a 2-weekly bin collection. And I was really proud of that. So we've gone against the grain. We've spoke for our residents, and everyone here agreed on that virtually. And a lot of the people that are in here, promoting a single unitary, voted for that. So I can tell you something: if it becomes a single unitary, we will definitely be going to a 3-weekly grey bin collection, and that's without a doubt. So, Councillor Major brought this up earlier in a question to our leader around the residents of Morton Hall, not knowing, who to go to get things done, what council, whatever. Well, it was simpler back in the day because, Haverhill residents went down to Haverhill Urban District Council meeting and they got things done locally. So, I'm a great fan of small local councils. They get things done, and large unitaries is more about politics, and they're talking down to their residents, whereas the smaller councils, they speak up for their residents. So I am definitely going to be supporting this motion, and to be fair, I wish we had 10 district councils, to be fair, but I'll be happy with 3. Thank you.
Councillor Hoffensberger. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and apologies for being late to the meeting. As most of you are aware, that I was at a cabinet meeting in Suffolk County Council. So one of the advantages of unitary is that we won't have these clashes in the future. So no more being late to meetings. I'm not sure anyone in this room would argue that local government reform Any local government reform that streamlines services, prevents duplication and makes services easier to understand for residents is a bad thing. And having one authority that empties your bins and then disposes of the waste rather than two is good. And bringing housing and social care under one roof is another great example of effective and efficient services. So the argument therefore is not why, it's how many unitaries we need in Suffolk. And Mr Chairman, I read the papers before us today with interest, looking at the questions and key services the government asked any interim business case to focus on. And I know the interim business case comes with a lot of caveats with regards to short timescales, vague criteria, with some areas interpreted differently depending on how you read them. And I would like to put on record my thanks to the officers involved in pulling the paper together. I do not underestimate the amount of time and energy that went into this. But I'm afraid, Mr Chairman, there is something lacking in the papers before us. And that's comment on what I call people services, children's and young people and adult social care. And whilst there's a slight reference to children and young people, mainly to do with the ILACs and Ofsted ratings, there's hardly anything at all with regards to adult care. And before anyone starts down referring to predetermination, and remember where you are, this is West Suffolk Council, not Suffolk County Council, let's talk about West Suffolk. The government clearly stated in any business case needs to take into consideration county-wide services, which these services are. And I base my next comments on evidence and experience of the nearly 10 years as Cabinet Member for Adult Social Care. I'm sorry, I can't forget what I know, and I can't forget what I experienced I've gained. And indeed, I'm pleased the leader referred to experience in his opening speech. And I expect anyone in this room to draw on their own research and experiences to make those informed decisions. So, Mr Chairman, I am of the opinion that a single authority for Suffolk not only represents the best opportunities to save money by maximising local authority efficiencies, it also represents a simpler government structure for the public and retains the economies of scale necessarily to protect and safeguard the smooth running of people services like adult social care. One comment that I've heard is that a suggestion that because adult social care already has area teams, this demonstrates that the current single authority approach is somehow already split, and this could be some kind of copy and paste solution for multiple authorities. This clearly isn't the case, of course. Whilst area teams within ASC do look at supporting people in each location, those teams don't work in isolation to the rest of adult social care, or even in isolation to the other teams. They are entirely supported and dependent upon the economies of scale afforded by a single authority that sources the care options available. They couldn't just be picked up and dropped in place and expected to do social care. It simply doesn't work that way. Mr Chairman, Suffolk's care market strategy is currently being refreshed. It's a single strategy to support the growth and development of the entire adult social care market in Suffolk. And I was reading the draft the other day and thinking about how care provision across Suffolk is not uniform. For example, we have many more care homes in the east of the region, closer to the coast than at the west. A legacy maybe of the old Victorian and Edwardian approach of convalescing or retiring to take in the sea air. We have more supported living settings in towns and urban areas because of the availability of housing and links to support services. What makes it clear is that care provision isn't a nice, flat, uniform spread of care providers across the county, conveniently laid out, ready to be equally sliced up into sections so as to keep little of everything available in multiple authorities. In truth, it's bumpy, it's rough, and it's totally interconnected. I am also generally concerned about the potential for a postcode lottery for adult social care being created in Suffolk, that a resident in one authority may get a better or worse outcome than a resident in another. Are we seriously suggesting that we would support creating such sorts of disparities in social care that we see across London? Is that what we really want for Suffolk? I hope that this debate continues and the proponents of carving up Suffolk are effectively and robustly challenged by councillors, the public and the press on how their plans could ever possibly help support the most vulnerable in Suffolk. And I look forward to the debate before us. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Clark.
Thanks, Chair. I fully support a single unitary, and just for the record, within our group, there is no whipping. It's an individual choice for those who wish to support this paper or not. But firstly, I must say, this is one of the worst papers I've ever written, and I've said that. Read. What worries me, it seems to be, it's coming from a place that's predetermined and is just seeking to support that view. That there isn't balance in there, and there's certainly very little discussion about a single unitary in this paper. And this is a very serious issue, something where we have an opportunity to improve things hugely. And I think this paper has done us all a disservice, and I personally would be seeking to get some money back from the consultants that wrote it, because I think it's a poor piece of work. But let me turn to the paper. Let's remember the majority of significant services provided are actually provided by the County Council, a Suffolk-wide organisation, services like highways, adult social care, special educational needs, and children's services, and they struggle at the moment. Trying to split all these services into 2 or 3 makes no sense. It makes no sense financially, it makes no sense organisationally, and it makes no sense to the general public. And, you know, I live near Clare and regularly drive into Essex and regularly drive into Cambridgeshire, and the roads are different. I'm not saying they're better or worse in any particular county, but they are noticeably different. Imagine having that same difference across the whole of Suffolk into 2 or 3 areas. And remember, highway spend is very much a discretionary spend. It's not a statutory spend like children's services and adult social care is. So it means that the money that's left over goes to help the roads. So you could be in a position where, as Becky said, to the east, they may have more need for children's services or for adult social care there. Their roads would get worse much quicker. And that just can't be right for the people of Suffolk. We've heard about these huge services that the county provides, you know, and without being disparaging, in essence, you know, West Suffolk provides, empties bins and provides planning. And that's important to recognise that. We mustn't be necessarily sorting out our new local governments on the basis of just what we want. And remember, our county councillors at the moment work extremely hard on our behalf, and a single unitary means that we probably double that number. And I think it's insulting almost to think that our county councillors at the moment don't consult local people, that are not involved locally, because I know they are. And I think to say keeping it local, it is local, it will be local. And that is up to the calibre and the people that become unitary councillors. So I would ask everyone to think long and hard about this. We mustn't be accused later of turkeys not wishing to vote for Christmas, which it sort of feels like that at the moment. There are clearly savings. You know, the number of chief execs will disappear from 5 or 6 down to 1. All their teams will drop down, and that's without in any way looking at the services themselves. So there will be savings. And finally, in Cambridgeshire, they have something called area committees, and area committees are used for planning and many other functions. And those committees work extremely well, using local councillors to reinforce information, to gather it, to make decisions, and then pass on to portfolio holders. So there's no reason to lose local interaction. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we go to the next speaker, Councillor Neal and Councillor Brown, can you turn your mics off because you've already spoken, please? Because that gives other people a chance to speak. Thank you. Councillor London.
Thank you, Chair. Personally, I strongly favour the 2 to 3 smaller unitaries approach over the whole county scheme, but I have a different question with regards to this topic. Newmarket is a town bifurcated by a county line, Approximately 10% of the town is actually in Cambridgeshire. In fact, one of the district councils that amalgamated to create East Cambs District Council was the old Newmarket Rural District Council. Its sister, Newmarket Urban, went to help create Forest Heath in Suffolk. Over the past 150 years, the borders have moved numerous times, as recently as the 90s in Landwade within my ward. In fact, it's currently impossible to travel from my ward to the rest of Suffolk without either travelling through Cambridgeshire or trespassing through the single field which connects us to the rest of Suffolk. This has meaningful effects on the provision of services for residents too numerous to detail here, but as an example, my daughter's diagnosis for ADHD was significantly impacted by the fact that Exning's local doctor's surgery is in a different county to its primary school. Cambridgeshire and Peterborough NHS Foundation Trust's procedures do not align with Suffolk LEA's way of doing things. I don't know whether the bits of Newmarket in Suffolk should move to Cambridgeshire or if the bits in Cambridgeshire should move into Suffolk, but I feel that local residents should have the opportunity to have their voices heard. Cliff, please can we undertake to include this issue in the consultations on local government reorganisation in Newmarket and Exning? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Armitage.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to commend Councillor Waterman's emphasis on the lack of correlation between size and effectiveness, and the fact that he brought in Cumbria as evidence, which obviously Councillor Marks didn't listen to. But it's borne out by evidence nearer to home, which is the woeful inertia we've seen from Suffolk County Council. Let's not let West Suffolk's excellent management, both by members and officers, get ruined by a mistaken empowerment of a new Suffolk County Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Rout.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and again, my apologies for being late as well. Despite constant requests on both sides, we still seem to be putting full council meetings here and cabinet meetings on at the county council on the same day. So it's no wonder we can't agree on local government reform either. But I'll start by agreeing with the leader, actually, and saying this isn't just about savings. It is about our residents and outcomes. And I think all of us in this chamber of all parties, be that Conservative, Labour, Green, Independent. We've got some Lib Dems as well, haven't we? I mustn't miss you out. Yes. We all do a good job on behalf of our residents. We all strive to do that. And I think that isn't dictated by whether we're a district councillor or a county councillor. I think it's down to the quality of the representation, and Suffolk's lucky on all fronts. The paper before us is very quick to dismiss one unitary council for what I would describe as surmountable reasons, yet seems to favour three for what are I would say with some insurmountable problems in the way. And Councillor Marks was right to highlight the deficiencies in this paper, and I do have some sympathy. It was asked for at pace. No interim plans have been asked for before by any government, so to know what was required was difficult, but I do expect that they would quite like to have seen some evidence, and there's that's in short supply in this paper. In terms of the insurmountable issues, I think it's around the key services that Councillor Hoffensberger has mentioned, those social care functions, and the cost of disaggregating those. So taking figures produced by PricewaterhouseCoopers, national figures, not Suffolk County Council's figures, but national figures, the total benefit or saving for a single unitary annually is about £26 million, with a net benefit after 5 years of £103 million. Looking at two unitaries, there is an annual saving there of around £21 million. But there are serious costs there around disaggregation. So you've got transition costs of about 25 million versus 18 million for a single unitary. You've got one-off disaggregation costs of about 22 million pounds, accruing to 91 million pounds over the first 5 years, and an annual disaggregation cost of about 12.5 million pounds. Looking at three, you have a one-off transition cost of about 32 million, annual disaggregation costs of nearly 21 million, a 5-year impact of disaggregation of in excess of 150 million pounds. A lot of figures, Mr. Chairman, but what that comes out as telling you is that over 5 years, there's 103 million of savings from one unitary, 11 million pounds from two, a net disbenefit of 51.5 million from 3 unitaries, and then going forward, 3 unitaries see the Suffolk taxpayer worse off to the tune of £3 million annually. Now, that problem is insurmountable. Couple that with the fact that a lot of our public sector debt is loaded into Ipswich, and Ipswich is our county town. We do have a duty of care towards it. Nearly 50% of the public sector debt would be loaded into that Greater Ipswich or 3rd Unitary Council. That's a real problem. It isn't surmountable. And this should be about outcomes for our residents, but the outcomes for our residents will be dire if that council isn't financially sustainable. Councillor Waterman says that 3 unitaries would be closer to our residents. It would be closer to bankruptcy. Now, just turning to some of the other issues I've heard this evening, Councillor Brown rightly mentioned planning issues, and we hear oh no, somebody in Haverhill might be determining a planning application in Lowestoft. This is a brand new council, brand new structures. The county council is being abolished, the district councils are being abolished. We can design this from the ground up. You could create area planning committees. There are easy ways around that. There are not easy ways around the fact that those 3 unitaries would be close to bankruptcy. Councillor London actually made a really good point in favour of 1 unitary about the issues of being on the boundary. Well, if you create 3 boundaries across Suffolk, you will create even more issues along the way. So this paper before us, it really fails to tackle the key issue of disaggregation costs. And I think I'd like to hear from the leader when he sums up his estimate of those disaggregation costs. And he may very well say, Mr. Chairman, well, we might not need to disaggregate them. We could create some brand new structure that hasn't been created anywhere else in the country. Or why not lift social care out of these new unitary councils altogether? I think this is a massive undertaking for the government. They're not going to redesign social care at the same time. And I think multiple governments of all colours have failed to tackle the social care issue. The leader touched on the minister's threshold of 500,000 that he sort of, in typical politician fashion, once sort of said it and then unsaid it. But I think the key thing for me here is that even if it is an average nationally, some of those councils, therefore, will have to be well in excess of that. And all we're hearing from district councils everywhere is, oh, we're the exception. Well, if you're all the exception, that average is never going to be over 500,000. We've heard mention... Councillor Rout, can you sum up, please, because you've gone up well over your 5 minutes. OK, I'll be very brief. We've had some issues raised, I think, by Councillor Wujinayaka about things that are the county council's fault, in inverted commas. Well, if I drive across the border into Cambridgeshire, there are potholes there too. Send issues are an issue nationally, and I think there needs to be some real focus on those national issues. Those aren't in our figures here today. And really, I'd like to hear from the leader about those disaggregation costs, what his estimates are. And one final question is, if Cabinet today wanted to make some changes, what is the procedural arrangement for that if it's already been passed by another district, just out of intrigue? Or is it de facto signed, sealed, delivered because it's been set out to other districts at the same time?
Thank you. Councillor Driscoll. No, you should have left it on. Yeah. Right. OK now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, members. In a moment, I'll come back to the issue of adult social care because, as people in the room, some people certainly will know, I have some considerable experience in that area, as indeed I do with children's services as well within county councils. I think we need to take ourselves back to the purpose of local government review. Its aim is to simplify local government and to bring decision-making closer to communities and residents. And I think nobody can deny that's a good thing. It's complicated at the moment. People don't understand it. And it's important that our residents understand how local government works and ideally that they have a single place to go to. I believe that the recommendation before us tonight places those principles front and centre in the proposition before us. As Councillor Rout has pointed out, it's recognised that any new arrangements will need to demonstrate that they are both cost-effective and efficient. And for that reason, this local authority has joined with others. It's joined with district councils and the Borough Council of Ipswich and commissioned an expert to undertake a full financial appraisal. And while I think it's easy to take a swipe at the initial response from this council to the government request, it is, as it says on the tin, an initial response. It doesn't set out all of the financial parameters that we need to get our heads around. That said, neither do I believe the Suffolk County Council submission has done that. We have heard some very strong claims from the Suffolk County Council about potential savings that it could make. What we haven't seen is the numbers set out before us, the analysis and the assumptions that are there. And I think it's a great shame that when Suffolk County Council were invited to join with the districts and to employ a single consultant, they chose not to do that and instead went their own way at, I would suggest, far more considerable expense. So we have those issues in front, and they are a challenge, and we do absolutely need to scrutinise the financial aspects. But I think very few people can deny that district councils, as they stand at the moment, are closer to their residents than large county authorities. I think it's clear to everybody in this room. We know district councils will be abolished, but it is important that the scale of any new authority is big enough to function effectively, but small enough to relate to its community. So moving on to the really important subject of children's social care and adult social care. So by way of setting out my own experience, as others have done tonight, I've worked in social care for 40 years. I've also been a district councillor now for 16 years, so I've had a good view of both. I've even had the pleasure at one time, it was a pleasure as well, of having Councillor Clark as the member with lead responsibility for the authority I worked in when I worked in Cambridgeshire. And I think we worked quite well together. I think we enjoyed our conversations and debates when we had them. I've also had the pleasure of reviewing Councillor Hoffenberger's services at one point as well. So I know how counties work reasonably well, and I know a fair bit about both adult social care and children's social care as well. And the points that are made are absolutely right. We can't mess around with those services. We need to put in place arrangements that are robust. But let's look around the country. There are many authorities, unitary authorities, that have put in place robust arrangements for both adult social care and children's services. And some of those have fared considerably better than county councils, particularly better than Suffolk County Council in some areas. So locally, we have authorities like Southend, we have Central Bedfordshire, we have Luton, all of whom have had very good reports on their services and have performed very effectively. I think it's also fair to say we have had some unitaries that have struggled, but that's no different to county authorities either. So we've seen it can be done, and it can be done very effectively. I think what's important is we accept what we've got in front of us tonight as an initial position. I think we need to support it, and then I think we need to look at the financial appraisals, and we will make a formal decision in September. But at this stage, I think there are very few arguments for a county single unitary over smaller, more representative organisations. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mason.
Thank you, Chair. I didn't anticipate being the last speaker before the summing up. As such, I want to...
You got 2, 4...
Oh, it's okay. On my list.
You got 8 so far behind you.
That's good.
I bear that in mind,
I thought there was no more.
Mason.
My mistake. Okay. Well, I was going to change what I was going to say anyway. I was a town councillor before I became a district councillor, and I've been a district councillor longer than I've been a county councillor. And I've enjoyed all 3 roles. And like some others, I will lose my role as being a district councillor and lose my role as being a county councillor. As such, I've enjoyed doing both jobs. I don't like the idea that as a county councillor that I talk down to residents. I found that particularly insulting. And I would ask that we try and keep discussion friendly and free from political rhetoric or something insulting regarding how one authority may be better than another. My thoughts particularly are with staff. We're facing a huge change, and staff at District Council and County Council work incredibly hard. Councils are forward-facing. They're forward-facing to residents, they're forward-facing to councillors. I can think of excellent local work that officers at West Suffolk Council do, and I can think of excellent local work that officers do at Suffolk County Council as well. It's different work, and I am hugely appreciative, and I've managed to create quite a lot of positive outcomes for the town through the work that I've done liaising with county councillor, county officers. And I'm hugely appreciative. And I think you need to be careful when we are criticising an authority, but we're also criticising the people behind the scenes who are doing hard work, front-facing, working with residents. A good example was I had compliments about social services who really supported somebody in need following a bereavement. And the comments were that they really felt supported and really looked after. So I would urge that we're really careful about how we criticise. In a world where there's lots of money, the whole country would have good send. The whole country would have good highways. These are national issues that we're struggling to get to grips with. And I would urge councillors on all sides just to be careful that you're not criticising for political gain or to try and win some sort of argument. The challenge of some of these services at a county-wide level are particularly challenging. I had to make a decision, I think it was in January, what I was going to go for. I voted at the time for a single unitary. There's some circles or squares I can't circle, or circles I can't square, I can never remember the phrase. One is all the economic wealth, or most of the economic wealth, is in the far east of the county. You've got all the NSIPs, you've got the ports, most of the large industry is in the east of the county. So much of the wealth is on the coastline. By dividing up Suffolk, the revenue that comes in from these businesses on the east will not be shared equitably across the county. And for me, that's problematic. It really is. That we could end up with an inequity between different regions. I'm perfectly at ease with the councils going for a two-unitary model tonight, if that was their decision. I think Councillor Rout spoke eloquently about it really not working as a three-unitary model. But for me, the inequity of the county could mean that there's winners and losers in this that we could come to regret at a later time. West Suffolk and Mid Suffolk is mostly rural and is vastly different. But I welcome diversity. And I don't think the notions of being local are necessarily owned by the district councils. The point I made earlier is I think there is excellent local work, and I would just err on the side of caution. I'll say it one more time. Please don't insult the work of the officers who work on a county-wide basis. They work incredibly hard under challenging circumstances, and I think they deserve our respect. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Glossop.
Thank you, Chairman. I've listened to the debate this evening, and what I would say is we've got a paper here which is a paper of intent to put a business case through in September. And that's what happened with Suffolk County Council as well. I didn't vote on the Suffolk County Council intent, and I'm not going to vote on this tonight. I shall abstain. And the reason why, I do not have enough detailed information in front of me, and I don't know enough detailed information about the Suffolk County Council's intent And we say, I've heard people tonight talking about their residents. We've no idea yet what the residents of Suffolk and the communities want. We're talking about consultations, but I thought the government were going to be leading the consultations. So therefore, until I know what the residents want, it's very hard for me to vote this evening, yes or no, to this paper that we've got in front of us, because I am just voting blindly. I am the person who likes facts and figures, and I want to be able to compare what one unitary or what 2-3 unitaries mean, and I can't do that. So therefore, I am going to abstain tonight until I can see some proper business cases and I know what the communities want. And I don't know that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Waldron.
Thank you, Chair. I listened to this debate and I'm finding it very interesting. In the real world, a large single unitary would probably be the best. But we want to keep common sense involved and not politics. So therefore that strikes out a large unitary straight away. A small unitary is closer to our population and they're easier to handle. And going forward, make more telling decisions locally. I have a problem, just like Councillor London, that I have a pimple on the bottom of West Suffolk stuck out in Cambridgeshire, and it's a 7-mile drive to get to it. And I'd like Councillor Alderman to see if he can sort that one out as well. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Councillor Soons. No. Is there a light on? I can't see from here.
All right, thank you. As a county councillor, obviously I've sat through debates of this at the county council and now sitting through a debate this at West Suffolk Council. But we mustn't forget that it is the residents who need to give their voice to this. And once they've spoken, I can say what my view is, but I think that we have to really think about what our residents think and the feedback that they're going to give us. And once we've got that, we're able to make our own informed choice together with these reports that come from me, from Suffolk County Council and from West Suffolk Council. And I think it's vitally important that we listen to our residents and we listen to the advice that we're given and then we make our mind up. I think this is too soon and it's not informed enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor David Smith.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, we're not making a final decision tonight. This is just to give the government some idea of the direction of travel, as people like to say, of what we're thinking. We can change our minds later on. That's not a problem. But we've got a short time scale where we need to give some indication of what we're thinking. Now, I think, like many people in this room, I would much prefer that we stayed as we were with the district councils. We like our smaller councils, but that's not an option. And but in that case, I've no doubt that multiple unitary authorities is the best way to represent our people, the people we serve in West Suffolk. I don't know what the best split will be. That's down to the number crunchers. I'll let them get on with that. But it's clear to me that a single county-wide unitary is not the answer. If we're to maintain a semblance of localisation, it would be absurd to have an authority covering the whole county. We're a diverse county with diverse people and diverse needs, and we need local people with local representation that understands them. Now, we've been here in the recent past with the merge of St Forest Heath and St Edmundbury, and a lot of people resisted at the time, but we've come through that, and I think we're stronger for it. So we're not going into this tested, as it were. Just one question. It's not a political point I'm asking. I'm just wondering why Suffolk County Council wants a single authority. Are they facing some sort of existential crisis? I mean, once you've got a mayor in place, they're going to take away things like transport, the strategic things like transport, adult health care, adult care, adult education, blah, 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 loads of them, blah, blah, blah. So are they worried that they're trying to rebrand themselves? I don't know. I'm quite confused. I'm confused about that. But anyway,
Councillor Mason, do you point of order?
I'd just like the opportunity for members who know more to actually correct. There's some incorrect facts about what Suffolk County Council would be giving away. And we've got to be careful about what is being said as being factually correct or not.
It's a point of clarification. So, would the leader like to clarify? Who wishes to clarify the position with regards?
Right, this is a point of clarification, really, not a point of order. Would the leader like to clarify?
I'm not totally sure, Chair, what I'm being asked to clarify. I am hearing a very robust discussion. We're hearing lots of different opinions being expressed. I think it's incumbent on all of us to listen to what's said carefully. I'm quite happy for the debate to continue as it has been.
Okay. Okay. Councillor Mason?
As long as it goes on the record that I think there are things being said that are factually incorrect. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Ball.
Sorry, can I carry on?
Oh, sorry. Councillor Smith.
Thank you.
Sorry. Councillor Smith.
I apologise if I misspoke. Probably because I can't read my own writing. What I meant to say, and this is from the white paper, the Merrill Combined Authority will take control of strategic areas such as transport, housing, adult skills and growth. That's what I meant to say. I might have said adult healthcare or something, but that was me misspeaking. So apologies for that.
All right, Councillor Mason. Sorry, Councillor Smith. Yep. Okay. Councillor Smith.
Yes, I should have been a doctor of my handwriting. Anyway, with education in the hands of the academies and integrative health boards taking control of health, it does appear to me there's very little left from what we would term traditional county council services. So just asking what's left. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Ball.
Thank you, Chair. I think this is for me, a very difficult decision. I understand and sympathise entirely with those who are concerned about being there to represent our residents. To some extent, I think the paper looks at the issue from the district council point of view and the services the district council provides. And it may well work with 2 or 3 unitaries for those services. But I think the point that sways me is the disaggregation, a word I've just learnt from Councillor Rout, of the social services. Personally, I think that would be a disaster, taking something apart. And I think on balance, that I cannot support this because of that. I think it outweighs the other things. And I think there are ways of setting up systems, because we have this opportunity to build something good, and setting up systems to look after our residents. And as someone else, I think, said, once we've consulted with our residents and know what their concerns are, then we will know what to build for the future. But I'm afraid I cannot support this proposal. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Jarvis?
Hi. Funnily enough, I've been reading 1984 recently, and some of the rhetoric coming from the other side sounds a lot like newspeak, gobbledygook. So let's condense this down to something simple. West Suffolk currently has a non-existent transport system. The main towns in West Suffolk are not connected to each other in any meaningful manner. To paraphrase Oscar Wilde, Bury St Edmunds, Newmarket and Haverhill are 3 towns divided and isolated by a common council, which is Suffolk County Council. This is not befitting of a modern society and is not conducive to economic growth amongst a myriad of other societal necessities. It could be argued that good transport is as important as our running water, internet connections, food supply, etc. The transport system in Suffolk is an abject and indefensible failure. This is a clear example of the rank and absolute inefficiency of a larger local authority in Suffolk and by extension West Suffolk. On its own, it is more than a compelling argument to keep local authorities local in the true sense of the word. I keep hearing the word local, so I am perplexed at the apparent grim determination to propagate a large single unitary which will distance us from our communities, constituents and dilute our effectiveness. Based on transport alone, being the basis of a binary question, the answer would be 2 or 3 unitary councils, which I support. Finally, if this was a single unitary council basis Ipswich, how are we supposed to get there without a transport system? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Andrew Smith.
Thank you, Chair. For those in this chamber who've never heard a career limiting presentation to council before, this might be the first time. Look, I'm cautiously support the proposal, and it is cautionary. I am not in any way understanding the detail of the Suffolk County Council proposal, and I'm trusting the administration and our chief executive and officers that the next stage will be to provide detailed information of how they see West Suffolk plus whatever could provide a unitary service. I'm reminded of my business days, and this is how I've thought about this this evening. You sit in the boardroom, and this is a very large boardroom. It's not cabinet, of course. And you contemplate the direction of the business that you own or work for. And it is just an initial proposal. This is not a finite decision by this council, or indeed we're not asking the cabinet to make a final decision or a finite decision. It is tricky. I've never played three-dimensional chess, but that's how it currently feels to me. It's quite complex. But the whataboutery, I'm not even in a position to make a logical decision on the whataboutery until I've actually seen far more, shall we say, flesh on the bones, Chair. I would just like to say one final thing, if I may. Irrespective of the dominance of the administration, and clearly the working partnership dominates this council, I just wonder, as the largest single group, as the flesh comes onto the bones, are we going to be faced with a paper that comes to council, or can the administration find some way of involving this group in the, shall we say, I'm going to say use those calculations before the paper finally comes to us in September for approval. But I would just repeat, I'm cautiously supportive of this proposal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Holder.
Yes, thank you, Chair. The curse of being a long-serving district councillor of nearly 22 years is that you remember certain things that went on in the councils I used to look after, like St Edmundsbury, which is no longer in existence, and Forest Heath District Council no longer in existence. And I remember when I became a councillor, there was huge turmoil within the borough council, but it soon transpired that the whole council at the time was run by a cabal of councillors based in Bury St Edmunds. So God help you if you lived in Haverhill or the rural areas. And I think my colleague John Griffiths, who was leader for many, many years, would back that up. And when we talk about locals, my locality has changed so much in the last 22 years with increased housing, a younger demographic coming in. the old wise Suffolk boys have died, and things are changing. And we have to keep up with that. You know, I'm not as young as I used to be, but I try to keep young because I've got young people around me telling me that I'm an old fogey. So I read the paper when it came out, and initially, and also the leader sort of more or less sort of added a bit of weight for that, saying, when we've had the debate, we'll decide in Cabinet after. And I'm thinking, well, hang on, you know, why are we having a debate if you're going to make the decision based on the paper that you've presented? Okay, you've got together with other councils and talked about it, and the agreement is that we go 2 or 3, you know. We've been there before, as it happens, again under Councillor Griffiths and the team, trying, because we knew that we were a bit small, we needed a bit more heft. And the then Conservative government were pushing local councils to get a bit more with it. And so we tried to get together with other adjoining councils, like Baber Council, Mid Suffolk, Forest Heath. It's happened. Baber, for instance, rejected us out of hand. They were very insular, but there again, I think we're all insular as councillors. We look after our own patch. And I've heard a few comments here, a bit anti-county council. I'm not a county councillor, but a few county councillors sit on our side, if you like, and I've heard that side. I don't think we're sides, we're councillors looking after our patches. And our county councillors look after their patches, which includes a lot of district councils and a lot of parish councils. And I can't believe that they don't hear the word of the residents coming over strongly. But they have to cut their cloth according to the width. So they have a problem, Suffolk County Council have a problem. But as Councillor Mason said, if the government who've instigated this at this time are working hurriedly towards a resolution, they want to get it going up and down the country. They're asking us to give our views, which is fine. But I think, realistically, whatever the figures happen to be, they've taken a wider view and said, no, a unitary is going to be the one. How it works may be up to certain local people, but unitaries are going to be the way to go. And I think it will go out to all these consultations and come back as a unitary. Not that they'll completely dismiss out of hand our local views, and particularly when you've got Ipswich are very powerful in the east of the county, and always have been. They've always sort of tried to be the leader of the pack, whilst the northern part of their territory, east, like Great Yarmouth and Lowestoft, have been somewhat the poor relations. And out to the west, they say, well, there be dragons, you know, because again, my age defies it, that this is the council of St Edmundsbury saying, we don't want to change, we don't want to grow, we want to be little and historic. We want to maintain early closing day, could you believe? And all those sort of things. They didn't want this big behemoth of Cambridge one side and Ipswich the other impinging on their quiet life. But obviously times have moved on, thank goodness. So without rambling on too much, as I usually do, hey, don't laugh at me, leader, for heaven's sake. And
have I had doing well, but just sum up now, please.
Yeah, no, I just hope people listen to me, that things do change, and we've got to go with the flow. The district councils won't exist anymore. The county councillors won't exist anymore. There'll be an election, and those who get chosen by their parties, or the independents, which you've heard about tonight, and people will vote for them as they feel fit, as other people have said tonight, when they've got the details, which we haven't got tonight. But my gut is telling me to go with the unitary. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Stennett.
Thank you very much. I've been elected to represent the people of the Howard Estate and Marham Park, was in Bury St Edmunds. So therefore, when I look at this, I have to look at their interests. And I strongly believe, with my experience in business, road, looking at Suffolk, Donegate, too negative here about potholes, what everybody's mentioned, and bad mistakes Suffolk's made before. I've got to look at this for the residents of Bury, the wider, around Bury, and I say to myself, having one central unitary in the whole of Suffolk will be bad for my residents. That's what I've heard. They can't even fix the potholes. They can't do this. They can't do that. They want us or a little bit larger unitary. I have said two, the report 2 or 3. I agree with that. One is bad. I cannot support one. I'm being elected to support my residents. I've heard all the arguments over there of other parts of Suffolk, could be affected. We wait to see the numbers what come out, but we're elected, and sometimes we have to make hard decisions. And if other parts of Suffolk don't like it, everybody knows in this room I am outspoken. I'm elected for the people of Bury, and that's what I stand by. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else wish to speak? No? There's no names come up? Thank you very much. It's been a really good debate. Before I go to Councillor Lucanek, I'd like to say thank you, everyone, for a really good debate. Thank you. Councillor Lucanek, you've reserved your right to speak.
Yeah, thanks very much, Chairman, and I will be brief. And I will agree with Councillor Holder there that changes are on the way. You've got a deputy leader with Polish heritage, a Ukrainian name, and a Norfolk accent. So, I'll agree with Mr. Holder there. I will be brief, Chair, but like many, I'm on the Town Council and feel connected, Chairman. I'm on the District Council and I feel connected. However, I'm on the County Council and feel disconnected, Chair. Big doesn't necessarily mean better. Look at the dinosaur, for example. Too slow and cumbersome to react and went into extinction, Mr. Chairman. I'm in total agreement with the motion and I will vote for it 100%. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Lastly, back to Councillor Waldsman, who proposed this item. Councillor Waldsman.
Well, I think 20 people have spoken. I may have lost count. And I think the quality of contributions has been amazing. I think people have spoken with passion, they've spoken with intelligence, they've spoken with understanding, they've spoken with knowledge. I could go through each one by one, but I won't. Don't worry, I won't. Partly because I'd like to go home for my tea sometime. I will just pick out one or two themes that came up. The first one was that the paper in front of us had a bit of a rough-edged feel to it. Well, yeah, it is rough-edged. It's our first glance, and all the government have asked us to do is offer the outline of our proposal at this stage. What you'll see by the 28th of September will be very clearly worked through proposals which will have all the facts and figures in. And coming to the facts and figures, we've had people, Councillor Rout in particular, quote the figures from a paper presented by the County Councils Network a couple of years back, produced by PricewaterhouseCoopers. And although the figures are quite impressive in that report, if you're proposing a single unitary, they have been questioned, and I know PricewaterhouseCoopers have been asked to reveal their methodology and refused to do so. So I think at best those figures need to be taken with a pinch of salt. But I think the final thing I'll say is that whatever we decide tonight, it's not a decision. This is just us giving our first thoughts as a district council to the government. And I think on that basis, what we've got in front of us is a good working document. It has been worked through with the other districts and borough in Suffolk. It's very similar to what the Norfolk districts and boroughs are putting forward. And I think it manages to respect the differences between our county towns and our rural areas and our smaller towns. At the same time, it allows local democracy to flourish, and at the same time, it offers a possible blueprint for a better way of organising the services that we all hope will be excellent for our residents. So on that note, I'll just say that I wholeheartedly commend this paper to the council. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I will now take the vote. All those in favour, please show.
Against.
All those against, please show. And any abstentions? Vote is carried. Thank you very much. Item 10. It wasn't called for, was it?
We can give you the numbers. There were
All right, okay.
33 for,
It's 33 for,
10 against,
10 against, and 4 abstentions. Okay, thank you.
item 10.
Item 10 now. Policy statement 2025-2026. Call on Councillor Kelly to introduce this item of the motion.
Much, Chair. I will be far less interesting than the last issue. The pay policy statement is a way that we comply with the localism bill, and in terms of process and all the rest of it, it's well established, and it is just a matter of bringing certain issues to your attention, and hopefully then just noting and accepting. So we've got a number of issues within the pay policy statement. The first one is the gender pay gap analysis, which is always of interest. It shows that for the April 23, March 24 thing, the females on average earn slightly more than the males. There's no discretionary bonus arrangements or commission payments, so these gender pay reporting measures aren't really applicable to West Suffolk. There are significantly more males than females in the lowest quartile, primarily due to West Suffolk having our own in-house waste service, which is a predominantly male manual workforce. However, as far as the upper quartile is concerned, it's relatively even now with females, with slightly more females in that quartile than men, and highlight that females are able to secure higher levels of pay and progression, and it's not restricted in any way at West Suffolk Council. No action plan is needed, but we will continue to be consistent in assuring our people policies are fair, transparent, especially in terms of recruitment, reward, promotion and development opportunities. As far as pay ratios are concerned, once again, there's a slight difference in the, a slight improvement, if you like to put it that way, in the ratio of highest to lowest pay. Ours is 5.1 to 1, which is a slight decrease from 5.2 to 1. And in fact, the Hutton Review, which recommends that it should be no more than 12 to 1, points out that it's fairly startlingly better than that. So part of that's due to front loading of national pay awards. The national minimum wage and the living wage tend to be loaded in favour of the lower pay, so that will always tend to push it. But the the bottom line, as far as most people are concerned, is that our lowest paid contractual staff, provided they've completed satisfactory probationary period, are paid £12.85 an hour. So I would like to recommend this pay policy statement be approved by council. Thank you.
Thank you. Who wishes to second the motion? Councillor Hind?
Yes, I'd like to second the motion, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Two speakers. Councillor London.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'd just like to say thank you very much, Councillor Kelly, for giving us this important information. Well put. It's an important topic, and to express my disappointment in colleagues who are leaving the chamber. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I misread my... I've got Councillor Kelly and he's the speaker, so he's a proposer. Anyway, back to Councillor Kelly, as there's no other speakers.
Yes, Chair. No, as far as I'm concerned, it's relatively straightforward. Nothing further to say. Thank you.
As there are no other members wish to speak, I will now take the vote. All those in favour, please show.
Any against, Chair?
Is there any against? No? Oh.
No.
Oh, you're a bit late, are you?
Abstentions.
Right. Is there any abstentions?
No.
No. That's carried. Thank you very much. Item 11. Appointment of independent person. I call upon Councillor Kelly again to introduce this item and move the motion.
Thank you, Chair. Again, I'll try to be as brief as possible. Localism Act requires us to appoint at least one independent person as part of our adopted arrangements for dealing with complaints about potential breaches of the Member Code of Conduct. Back in October 22, we joined arrangements with other councils in which 5 independent persons were appointed to assist us. So the pool consists of Suffolk County Council, Baber, Mid Suffolk and Ipswich Borough. This is for a period of 2 years with an option to extend the arrangement for a further 2 years. So working with the pool of independent persons helps the monitoring officer ensure their independence is maintained by appointing them to complaints on a rotational basis. Unfortunately, only 2 of the current pool have expressed a desire to continue. Those leaving citing personal reasons for discontinuing. It is noted that the annual payment was probably insufficient, and our records show that it's been the figure set at £300 for the last 10 years. I therefore propose that we continue to work with other authorities to have in place a pool of independent persons for a further 2 years, that we increase the annual retainer from 300 to 500, which of course will be shared, and we instruct the monitoring officer to support the recruitment campaign led by the monitoring officer for Suffolk County Council for the 3 vacant posts to maintain the independence of the individuals and ensure there is sufficient cover in place. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Kelly, you're proposing the wrong...
I do apologise.
Wrong one. It's, that's for last, when was it, January?
That was in November.
November. That was from November.
I do apologise. Yes.
Have you got...
Sorry, I'm having to...
I was trying to find where the money was. I was thinking I haven't got that money.
It should be...
It's on. Do you want to read it? On?
It's obviously that's trouble with laptops, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, if Councillor Hind
Sorry,
can help out.
it's even simpler than I thought, because it is really just a case of approving that we appoint as the council's independent people for a term of 2 years from April the 1st of this year, for an option to extend for a further 2 years. So the individuals are listed in Appendix 1. Thank you, Chair, and my apologies for trying to go too fast.
Okay, thank you very much.
Bedtime.
Seconder.
Can I have a seconder for this motion, please? Councillor Martin? Thank you. As there are no other members wish to speak, I will now take the vote. All those in favour, please show. Is there any against? Is there any abstentions?
No, carried.
No. Right, it's carried. Thank you. Item 12. This is any other urgent business. We have no items of other urgent business to consider on this occasion. And I now announce business is concluded for this council meeting. Following a short comfort break, Cabinet members are requested to return this chamber in 10 minutes to commence the extraordinary meeting of Cabinet. Other councillors, members of the public and press are invited to observe these proceedings if they wish to do so. In the meantime, I invite members to leave the chamber via the east side. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.